It was a rainy evening in Prague. On the Charles Bridge, under flickering gas lamps, a hooded figure passed a sealed envelope to a man in a gray trench coat. Within hours, both were dead. The bodies were found miles apart. One drowned in the Vltava River, the other suffocated inside an underground train tunnel. Interpol dubbed it a coincidence. But one anonymous letter, mailed weeks later to a cold case podcaster in Brooklyn, blew open a sealed investigation stretching across 5 countries and nearly 2 decades. Inside that letter was a name. Adrian Cross didn't kill himself. Before we dive into this gripping story, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. And if you love stories packed with mystery and drama, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. There's so much more coming your way. In a dimly lit apartment above a bodega in Crown Heights, Maya Rivers, a 33-year-old true crime podcaster, sifts through her weekly mail. Bills. Flyers. Then, an envelope with no return address. Inside, a burned Polaroid photo of a young man tied to a chair in what looks like an abandoned warehouse. A typed message. He died trying to tell the truth. Will you? There's also a name scribbled in red ink, Adrian Cross. Her hands tremble as she Googles the name. Adrian Cross, 29, courier for Echelon Logistics, found dead, suspected suicide, 2011. But something's wrong. She's covered hundreds of cases. She remembers Adrian's case. It was ruled an accident. But that wasn't the truth. And someone wanted her to know that. 10 years earlier, in Berlin, Adrian Cross worked for a secretive logistics company that specialized in transporting secure documents and packages for private clientele. On paper, it sounded elite. In reality, it was a front for smuggling data, cash, drugs, and sometimes even people. Adrian started asking questions after one of his drops, a harmless briefcase, turned out to contain photos of missing Eastern European children. He tried reporting it. Weeks later, he was found hanging in a stairwell near his flat. No note. No autopsy. The apartment was cleaned in a day. Interpol closed the case with unusual speed. But his sister, Sophie Cross, a student in Lyon at the time, never believed it. Now, 10 years later, Maya digs deeper. She finds Sophie, who reveals she once got an anonymous email with video evidence, but the file was corrupted. She forwarded it to someone at The Guardian. 2 weeks later, that journalist went missing. Maya visits Sophie in France. Sophie is paranoid, lives off the grid, uses burner phones, and never stays in one place for long. She pulls out an old journal, Adrian's, which she smuggled from his apartment before the German police could destroy it. Inside are cryptic codes, drop point coordinates, and notes about something called Project Sicho. One set of coordinates points to an abandoned warehouse in Lyon, another to a storage unit in New Jersey, and the last to a facility on the outskirts of London labeled Orion Labs. Maya realizes Adrian wasn't just a courier. He was a whistleblower. And someone had silenced him before he could expose the truth. As Maya and Sophie prepare to head to London, a black SUV tails them. Inside the warehouse in Lyon, they find a flash drive frozen in an old wall safe. As Maya pulls it out, a gunshot rings out. The gunshot echoes like a thunderclap across the rusted beams of the warehouse. Maya dives to the ground, dust choking her lungs. Sophie yells something in French, it's garbled, and Maya sees the glint of a silencer flash again. They scramble behind a crate. The attacker moves with precision, trained, not a petty thug. Sophie opens a side panel in the wall. They escape into a hidden service corridor that Adrian must have marked years ago. By the time they reach Sophie's hideout, she's bleeding, grazed by a bullet near her ribs. Maya patches her up with trembling hands, the silence between them thicker than the bandage. Whoever it is, they knew we'd be there, Sophie whispers. That night, Maya logs into the flash drive. It's encrypted, military grade, but there's one folder that isn't, echo_01.mp4. She plays it. A young girl in chains. A man with a blurred face. A shadowy figure handing over money. Then, Adrian's voice. If you're seeing this, I'm probably already dead. They're moving people. Children. Across borders. Inside crates marked biohazard. They're using diplomatic channels. Projects, it's not about drugs. It's about lives. The screen cuts to black. Sophie weeps. Maya knows, this isn't just a story anymore. They fly to London using fake IDs provided by one of Sophie's old activist friends. The tension at the airport is unbearable. Sophie clutches a small wooden cross around her neck, a keepsake from Adrian. Maya's heart pounds. They check into a cheap motel in South London under assumed names. At night, Maya walks alone to clear her mind. A figure approaches her from behind. It's a man in a gray coat, British accent. He whispers, "You're chasing a dead man's trail, but the hunters are very much alive." Before she can ask who he is, he slips her a folded note and disappears into the crowd. She unfolds it. Its coordinates, leading to Orion Labs, the location Adrian had marked. At Orion Labs, they pretend to be journalists doing a documentary on post-Brexit biotech exports. The facility is clinical, sleek, sterile. A smiling PR agent walks them through. But beneath the surface, Maya feels the walls breathing secrets. As they're escorted out, Maya notices a locked sub-level door labeled Cryo Storage Level B. Later that night, using the employee badge she pickpocketed, they sneak back in. What they find chills them. Dozens of glass pods, each with oxygen monitors. Inside each, children. Alive. Sleeping. Frozen in time. Maya records everything. They run out just as an alarm goes off. But someone was waiting. Their taxi driver is not who they ordered. It's the same man from Berlin's warehouse. He injects Sophie in the neck. Maya escapes by leaping into traffic. Sophie is gone. Maya hides in the shadows of the Thames, her face bruised, hands shaking. She sends the footage to her podcast cloud account and emails a trusted contact at BBC. A reply comes back in 2 hours. "This story doesn't exist. Don't contact us again." Suddenly, her phone bricks itself, screen melting into static. She realizes she's being digitally hunted too. Maya breaks down on a bench overlooking the water, clutching the wooden cross Sophie left behind. Desperate, Maya seeks help from someone off the grid, a vigilante hacker known only as Zero Mega who lives in a Hackney squat. She trades the flash drive for protection and digital masking. Zero Mega decrypts more of the data. What he finds is beyond terrifying. A full manifest of names, children, women, political defectors. Echelon Logistics drop locations across Europe and the US. A list of collaborators, including government officials in France, Germany, and even a US senator from New York. And something worse. Sophie's name is on the list. Destination, Rotterdam. They have less than 36 hours. With Omega's help, Maya steals a car and drives across borders. Every toll booth feels like a checkpoint. She sees her own face on a wanted alert in a rest stop bathroom. Rotterdam is gritty, gray, and soaked in cold rain. Through binoculars, she watches the shipping dock listed in the flash drive manifest. Sophie is there, unconscious, about to be loaded into a refrigerated container. Maya breaks into the yard, fights off a security guard with a wrench, and opens the container. Inside are 10 people, Sophie among them, all sedated. She hears a voice behind her. "He warned you, but you kept digging." It's the man in the gray coat again. This time, he points a gun at her. Before he can pull the trigger, a sniper shot rings out. The man drops. Maya looks up. A woman in black is on a nearby roof. She motions for Maya to run. They escape in a stolen truck. The woman is Agent Alina Novak, ex-Interpol, now rogue. She reveals the secret. Adrian wasn't just a courier, he was her partner. They were trying to take down Project Sicho, a multi-billion-dollar operation run by a global syndicate of tech, pharma, and political elites. Adrian found out the syndicate was planning to engineer a refugee crisis for pharmaceutical testing. And worse, some of the children had been cloned for organ farming. Adrian was silenced. But now they have the files, the footage, the names. They just have to live long enough to broadcast it. The truck barrels through Belgium and into Switzerland. Agent Alina drives like someone who's been running all her life. Maya, still shaken, cradles Sophie in the back. The sedatives are wearing off, but Sophie's feverish. They stop at a gas station in Lucerne. It's snowing lightly, the Alps looming like stone sentinels. Maya steps out for air and finds herself staring at a mural, a child in a pod, surrounded by cold machinery. The art is too specific, too familiar. Alina pulls Maya away. We're close. There's a court, not a real court, deep in the mountains. They meet once every 2 years. To review progress. To assign blame. To erase people. Maya realizes they're not just fighting criminals. They're fighting an invisible ruling class, who use courts that don't exist to decide who lives and dies. A former UN worker named Father Louis Deneau, now a defrocked priest, guides them through an old tunnel system beneath a closed ski resort. He's gaunt, with ghost-like eyes and a voice that never rises above a whisper. He once sat on one of the trials. Now he regrets it. They arrive at a vaulted hall carved into the mountain, limestone walls, long tables, portraits of unnamed figures. Here, the syndicate meets to conduct ethical reviews of global-scale illegal operations. Father Deneau shows Maya records from 2013. Project Sicho, approved for non-consensual experimental relocation. Result: high yield, low media risk. Proceed. Suddenly, the lights cut out. Footsteps. Gunshots. Deneau is hit. Maya and Alina drag Sophie through a back exit as the vault collapses in a controlled blast. They barely escape. They find refuge in a monastery outside Milan, under the protection of a rebel archbishop, Cardinal Pietro Esposito. Esposito once ran the Vatican's Human Rights Investigations Division, until he discovered links between Project Sicho and Vatican-owned shipping lines. He presents a red leather dossier, EV, Experimental Viability Archives. It details how orphanages across Europe were used as source zones for genetic sampling and human relocation under the guise of mission work. There's one chilling document Maya can't stop rereading. Subject number 42, Sophie Cross. Age 14. Condition, viable. Transport delayed. Subject retained for courier leverage. Sophie wasn't just Adrian's sister. She was a bargaining chip, and the reason Adrian joined Echelon Logistics. Maya realizes Sophie has always been a target, and still is. They return to Berlin using a coded train route once used by old KGB agents. It's cold and bleak, gray buildings stained with time. Alina leads them to an old contact, Sergei Kozlov, a cyber mercenary with access to the black archives of both NATO and the Russian deep state. He agrees to help decrypt the remaining data in exchange for something simple, Maya's silence. But Maya finds hidden photos of herself on Kozlov's drive, surveillance from before she received the first letter. Kozlov was tracking her long before Sophie re-entered the picture. He was working for the syndicate. When she confronts him, Kozlov attacks her. Maya fights with desperate strength, nearly choking him unconscious. Alina shoots him in the leg to stop him. But the damage is done. The syndicate now knows exactly where they are. They rush to a safe house run by an underground journalist group known as the Free Frequency. Deep beneath a cafe in Neukölln, they prepare a massive live data drop. Documents, photos, voice notes, hidden trial footage. Everything they've uncovered is scheduled to go live on major darknet and whistleblower sites. The world will see it all. As the countdown hits 0:01, a massive EMP pulse hits the neighborhood, frying servers, hard drives, even backup batteries. The screen goes black. Everything is gone. Alina screams. Sophie is in shock. But Maya just stares at the screen, unblinking. They were waiting. This wasn't a leak, it was a test. Later that night, Maya walks the streets of Berlin alone. Snowflakes cling to her coat. She finds herself at the same place where Adrian once died, the stairwell by the Spree River. There she meets him, the man in the gray coat. Alive. Without fear. You're not going to stop it, he says. You're just the story they'll use to hide the real one. You are distraction media. He hands her an envelope. Inside, a photo of Adrian. Not dead, not restrained, but smiling, standing beside him. They lied to you. We all did. Adrian Cross didn't die. He switched sides. The world tilts. Maya runs. She vomits in an alley. Adrian, her obsession, her symbol of justice, was never a martyr. He was a traitor. 3 days later, Paris. Maya sits in a cafe near Gare du Nord, staring at the envelope, Adrian's smile haunting her like a broken hymn. Sophie watches her from across the table, confused and scared. Alina is gone, off chasing a lead in Prague. Sophie reaches for Maya's hand. "You don't believe it, do you?" But Maya doesn't answer. She's somewhere else, inside a memory she doesn't remember forming. A corridor. A child's voice. Someone whispering, "You're not like the others. You're special." Then, an explosion. Glass rips through the cafe like shrapnel. Maya is thrown against a wall. Screams. Sophie's calling her name, blood dripping down her forehead. Maya grabs her, limping, coughing, running. They disappear into the Paris underground, the sound of sirens fading behind them. This wasn't random. This was an execution attempt. Alina calls them from a secure line. "Don't return to the safe house. It's been burned." She arranges to meet them at a centuries-old chateau outside Reims. But when Maya and Sophie arrive, the manor is already smoldering, black smoke curling from its roof. Alina is lying in the gravel, bleeding out, clutching a piece of parchment. With her dying breath, "Adrian, he didn't betray us. He went deeper. Deeper than we could follow." The parchment is part of an old Vatican map, hand-drawn, showing a tunnel system beneath Geneva, marked Corpus Vault. As Maya holds Alina's body, a faint voice behind her whispers, "You've always been part of this." She turns. No one is there. Sophie starts to remember. Her dreams become vivid. Flashbacks, cryopods, medical rooms with white lights. A woman in a blue dress, Maya's face. But younger, cold. In a panic, Sophie begs Maya, "Why were you there? In my dreams? In the room where they took me?" Maya brushes it off, but inside, a deep horror begins to gnaw at her. She begins to question everything. Her past. Her missing childhood years. The surgical scar at the back of her neck she always thought was a birthmark. Inside a mirror-lined room at a Parisian safe house, Maya stands alone and stares at herself until her reflection doesn't blink back. They decide to make one final contact. Émile Dubois, a former intelligence officer turned recluse, living near the Montmartre cemetery. Dubois agrees to speak, but he won't talk inside. He insists on walking the tombstones. There, among the graves, he tells Maya the truth. "You were part of the first batch. The prototype. Maya, you were the beta courier. You weren't chasing Adrian's trail. You were following your programming." Before she can react, shots rain down from a nearby bell tower. Dubois is hit. Sophie runs. Maya grabs the old man's phone and a scrap of paper that falls from his coat. Vault 42. Geneva. Find the original. On a night train across France, Maya and Sophie ride in silence. The rhythmic rattle of the tracks mimics a heartbeat. Maya drifts into sleep and dreams a memory. A cold room. A man's voice. "You will carry the truth. When they awaken you, it must already be done." She wakes in a sweat. Across from her, Sophie is awake too. Her eyes are glassy. "Maya, I don't think I'm Sophie Cross." "What?" "I remember a number. 42, and a name. Eva. They called me Eva. Sophie Cross was my cover. Someone else's name. I think I was made like you." The train pulls into Geneva. Using the old Vatican map, they infiltrate an abandoned research building near Lake Geneva, one that had once been owned by Halcyon Biotech, a company long dissolved and quietly absorbed by Echelon Logistics. Underground, the vault is sealed with a retina scanner. Maya presses her face to the lens. It opens. Inside are rows of cryogenic tanks. Some broken, others still humming. In the center, a large steel coffin labeled A.01A. She opens it. It's her. Or rather, another her, a failed clone, rotting inside. Documents next to it describe the process. Memory grafting, identity implants, Courier conditioning. Maya reads her own design file. Subject classification: Courier vessel hybrid. Mission objective, uncover, but never expose. She collapses. She wasn't supposed to find the truth. She was the misdirection. Coordinates found in the vault lead Maya and Sophie to Iceland. Specifically, to an abandoned observatory near Snæfellsjökull volcano. They arrive in a frozen storm, guided by a smuggler with no name and no questions. There, in a room of shattered equipment and flickering monitors, Maya finds him. Adrian Cross. Older. Haggard. Standing in front of a wall of screens showing familiar faces, every person they've lost, every betrayal, every ghost. Fearns. I didn't betray you, he says. I broke the loop. They used you to smuggle truth that would never be released. You were never meant to win, just run. Like me. Maya stares, eyes wet. You watched me suffer. I had to. If you knew too early, they'd kill you. They almost did. Behind them, Sophie collapses. Her body shaking. Time is running out, for all of them. Adrian explains, Sophie's deterioration isn't natural. It's part of a failsafe built into her genome. If she ever remembers too much, her body self-destructs. It's called the parasite protocol, a neural virus that feeds on memory. Adrian has part of the antidote, but the rest was buried in Project Eden, a decommissioned satellite system once run by a European defense coalition. But there's more. Maya herself is the key to activating the failover release. Her own blood, her corrupted DNA, can stop Sophie's decay. But it means risking everything. Her mind, her body, her ability to ever leave the facility. Maya doesn't hesitate. He arrives with the storm. The man in the gray coat, the ghost who always knew where Maya would be. He introduces himself as Casper Rowe. He is not with the Syndicate. He is the Syndicate, or what's left of it. One of 7 founders of Echelon, born from post-World War II espionage, funded by European royals and American defense contractors. You were made, he tells Maya, to give the people something to believe in failing. A leak, a whistleblower, a martyr. Your death was the real upload. Then he turns to Adrian. And you were the prototype. But you broke. Casper smiles. Now we clean up the mess. He signals. Armed men appear from the snow. Adrian opens a hidden compartment. Run. I'll hold them. Maya hesitates. Don't make me a hero, he says. Let me finally be useful. He presses a detonator. The observatory erupts in flame. Casper's men scatter. Maya and Sophie escape down a maintenance tunnel. Behind them, the volcano groans like a wounded beast. Adrian's voice echoes through the earpiece. You were always meant to finish the race, even if you never saw the finish line. Then silence. They cross to Norway using a rusted icebreaker. Sophie's condition worsens. In Oslo, they find a former NSA analyst, Carrie Madsen, once in love with Adrian, now broken and drunk but still brilliant. She leads them to a mountain relay station still tethered to the Eden satellite. To activate it, they need Maya's biometrics. As the uplink begins, Sophie convulses. Time is slicing away. Suddenly, the Syndicate's drones arrive. Maya makes a decision. She stays. As the connection deepens, Maya's brain is flooded with memories she never knew were hers. Children in tanks. A boy who looked like Adrian. Screaming. A voice whispering, not yet. Too much pain and she won't carry. She sees the Origin Room, a lab in the Scottish Highlands where the first couriers were created. She remembers the pain of rebirth. The false memories injected. The endless sleep between missions. She wasn't born. She was assembled. Then the satellite link reaches its peak. Truth races upward. The Eden relay explodes across satellite nodes in Europe and the US. Suddenly, every darknet channel, every hidden feed, every pirate signal displays. Trial transcripts. Courier files. DNA experiments. Financial ties to global elites. Vatican memos. And Maya's face. The truth spreads like wildfire. Governments panic. Syndicate leaders vanish. The world reels. But Maya is gone. Her body never found. Only one message remains. I was a vessel. Now I am the voice. You have seen what they are. The rest is up to you. Sophie, or Eva, wakes in a hospital in Sweden under UN protection. The parasite is gone. She reads every file they recovered. Her real name, her false families, her role in the Courier network. But she also finds something unexpected. A letter. From Maya. You are not what they made you. You are what you choose. Don't become a symbol. Become a person. Live. Sophie stares out the window. For the first time, she breathes freely. 2 years later, a woman walks into a small, dusty bookstore in Prague. She has gray in her hair. A limp. She places a manuscript on the counter. Title, The Courier's Confession. A story that was never meant to be told. She doesn't give her name. She just says, make sure someone reads it. Then disappears into the crowd. Some say Maya lived. Others say she died in the snow. But every revolution has a myth, and every myth starts with someone brave enough to carry the truth. Even if it kills them. Thanks for watching. If you're hooked on gripping stories like this, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling tales. Your support means the world to us. With love and gratitude, I invite you to join our community for more captivating content. Subscribe now for more stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Thank you.